also picked up the Secret Arcana, so I'm going to be shuffling all of the cards together. Additionally, over on the members side of the channel, this is the crystal I will be using for scrying. So let's get started. I'm going to use this white candle to clear the space. Lavender and vanilla. It smells really good. So just focus on the flame. Focus on the flame. Focus on the flame. Focus on the flame. And go ahead and set your intention for the reading and take some deep breaths. Nice full body breaths. Expand from your diaphragm right below your rib cage, not from your chest. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. Let's get started on the first sign of Aries. I haven't used these cards yet, so I'm excited to start using them. I'll have to read the meanings out of the little book as they come up in the readings. And all the backs look the same. They're a slightly different color on the edge because I've used the other cards so much. Yeah, that just feels right. All right. So Aries, go ahead and set your intention for the reading. Just relax and allow any thoughts or ideas that you are having about the situation to rise up to the forefront of your mind. And just let those ideas sit there and wait patiently while I shuffle the cards. I did get a couple of the secret arcana in your reading, Aries. Let me write down timestamps. And let's get started. So, in the past for you, Aries, we have this card, the Flower, which is number 18 from the Secret Arcana. And the meaning of that card is given: purity, innocence, simplicity, delicacy. So, Aries, this card is showing up in the upright for you in the past. You could have gone through a personal renewal, a blossoming, if you will. And this could have to do with the spiritual self, but it could also have to do with your emotional and sensual aspects as well. Many of those traits are kind of first house connected, so ruled by your sign of Aries. Aries, you are showing up in your own rating, but we haven't gotten there yet, so I'm not going to talk about that just yet. Here in the current situation, we have the Hand, and it's crossed by the Queen of Cups. Now, let me find out what the Hand is talking about. That is number 19. So, it's talking about owning too much, greed, and being wasteful. Like grasping too much. Now, this is crossed by the Queen of Cups. So, whereas in the past you might have had very pure intentions for something, here in the current situation with the Hand crossed by the Queen of Cups, which has to do with emotions, this is water of water energy for you, Aries, so very counter in many ways to your fiery nature. But that, of course, depends on what else is in your chart. So this could have to do with being emotionally greedy as well. Now, the Queen of Cups is not somebody who is typically emotionally greedy. So some of you could be dealing with someone else in a way that is not very considerate of their emotionally giving nature. So that's also a possibility for you in this reading, Aries. This could be a new relationship with a love partner, but it could also be a relationship with a family member, especially one's mother, potentially another family member who's very emotionally giving to you, Aries. And this might have started out with very pure intentions, very innocent intentions. So now we're going to look down in the Imam Silai. The Imam Silai is the foundations upon which the goal or destiny will be built. And the card that we have there is the Eye. So this is another one of the secret arcana. A lot of them are coming out in this reading. I love that for you, Aries. So that's number 14. And in the upright, you have a lot of perception at this time. What it says is to see all colors, much like we have this color wheel here depicted on the card. So you could also take that to mean that your perceptions are exceptionally open at this time, Aries, that you're able to discern possibly better your immediate surroundings more quickly and be more attuned to what's going on around you than possibly at times before. From your perspective, we have the Seven of Cups. Now, this card is in the upright, and it's all about all these different options that are open to you at this time, Aries. So we have all of these different options open to you. And remember, too, that the crossing card was the Queen of Cups. So you might see a lot of these options tied to this emotional situation. Not necessarily, but that could be that some of these seem to have strings attached to them. And here where we have the hand and the eye, right? So you kind of are aware that you might be taking advantage in this situation somehow. And I would say that the hand could be for the other person in the situation, except that it is in the place of the significator. So is most likely related directly to the querent, which would be you, Aries, in this situation. Now, it is a general reading, so there's going to be a few different scenarios that are possible. And I will try to present some of them to you in a way that will be relevant to your own situation. So from the outside perspective, Aries, looking in at your current situation, we have the Emperor card. This is you, Aries, coming out in your own reading. And it would appear that others around you perceive you in your strength, perceive you in your exalted form, perceive you as having a lot of control over your life, over situations, perhaps perceive you to be an authority figure, Aries as well. And that might be why you are in a position to take and to be greedy in a particular situation. If you look here at the Seven of Cups too, you see that a lot of these options that are available to you are here on the hand, in the hand, and maybe not even necessarily the ones that are your favorites. It's kind of like when you have access to a lot, but you don't have access maybe to like your favorite things. So you're glutting yourself on the things that are available, trying to gain this satiety that's not going to come because what you really, really want eludes your grasp. So that's possible for you at this time, Aries. And that could be why people are perceiving you the way that they are. They don't see you as an unfair despot. They do see you as somebody who is an authority figure and somebody who is in control of a situation. Really, not too many reversed cards in your reading, Aries. But we will continue. So, here in the future, we have the Six of Cups. This card is showing up in the upright in the future. And the Six of Cups is about things returning from the past, whether that is through nostalgia, things cycling back around again. This can be people, this can be finding things that you thought were long lost, all kinds of things like that. So the Six of Cups, then we're taking a step back from this Seven of Cups energy. So you've looked through all of these options. You've kind of pawed through all of these different options here with the Seven of Cups. And when you come into this future energy of the Six of Cups, because none of the options with the Seven of Cups were satisfying to you, you're returning to things from your past and looking for the answers there. What is it that I really want? Why is it that these things are not satisfying me? And I feel like it is an emotional satisfaction. So, this Queen of Cups could be somebody particular in your life, possibly a water sign, but it can also be about, because it's elemental water energy, water of water. The Queen of Cups is also associated with chalice energy, right? And I don't think I've really gone heavily into Babylon on this channel, but there's this idea with the goddess Babylon. When you put one drop into her chalice, she will drain you entirely. And that's kind of the energy that I'm getting here for you, Aries. It's giving you great control, but it's leaving you unsatisfied. And perhaps your intentions going into this were very pure, and now you can see everything for what it is. So, not necessarily that you've entered into Babylon ritual, but there are elements that are similar there. I'm using that as a way of describing. Here in your hopes and fears, you're afraid of being trapped or feeling like you don't have options. And this is standing in contrast to where I see you in the current situation with this myriad of options. So that tells me, Aries, that the options really aren't the problem. I think you'll be able to find options in whatever situation because that's the nature of how you approach things. And it comes from possibly this fear that you will run out of options. And perhaps that's also why this might be kind of an unsatisfying process for you. Here in the midheaven, so the foundation of this is that we are seeing everything as it is, seeing all the colors of the rainbow, for better or for worse, seeing everything as it is, possibly also as it could be, possibly even an overlay of never was. So the result of that is going to be the Seven of Wands in the reverse. That eventually you'll come to a place where you no longer feel like you have to defend a certain position. I think you'll be kind of letting go a lot of this need for control, possibly also the need to collect and taste and grasp for things. The hand with the implications of greed very much being about that lack mentality also. And especially in situations that are emotionally charged. We do have the Queen of Cups. We've also had the Seven and the Six of Cups coming out. So I feel like there's kind of a lack of emotional fulfillment in a lot of these situations for you, Aries. The final outcome for you is the King of Pentacles. So the King of Pentacles is a lot like the Emperor. But there's some key differences, right? The Emperor is definitely your energy, Aries, which means it's Mars energy, fire energy. The King of Pentacles, however, this is air of earth energy. Very balanced and very grounded, sometimes associated with the astrological sign of Taurus. Now, if you look at them, their postures are very, very similar. We do have that skull motif here on the King of Pentacles, whereas with the Emperor card, we do see the idea that you are able to perceive all at this particular time. And then in the future, you'll be going through this transformation, much like a death. And this is going to stabilize you. It's going to ground you, and it's going to bring in a true, real, long-lasting abundance for you, Aries. So that is going to conclude the Aries reading for this week. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me for the fire sign readings. Next, we will be moving on to the sign of Leo. And after I've done with the fire sign readings, I'll be going over to the members side of the channel to do some crystal scrying. If that interests you, you're cordially invited, but your presence here on the channel is greatly appreciated in whatever form it takes. So Leo, if you would, raise your vibration, ground yourself. It's a spiritual elongation like this. Excuse me. Go ahead and set your intention for the reading. And just relax. Gently breathe through that energy. Allow any associated thoughts, wordplay, ideas to rise up to the forefront of your mind and wait there patiently while I shuffle the cards. And if any of these things are causing you stress or doubt or discomfort, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. As you inhale, draw in source energy. However you choose to visualize it is up to you. And then as you exhale, just release any of that stress, any of that tension, right back to source, and it will be transmuted. Okay, so let me write down your timestamp. All right, Leo, you have a lot of major arcana energy in your reading this week. Now, that can sometimes mean that you're on the precipice of something big. And I have reasons for believing that based on the cards that are here. A big transformation is going on around you currently, perhaps. What else are we looking at here? There's a couple of the secret arcana, too. So let's just jump right into it. Leo, here in the past for you, we have the Devil. And this card is showing up in the upright. So that tells me that whatever this situation is, it's continuing into the current environment for you, Leo. It began in the past and it is continuing into your present. Now, the Devil represents things like addiction. It can represent illness. It can represent compulsions. Can represent sexual compulsions, nymphomania, addiction in that sense, alcoholism, drug abuse, all of those things. And the chains around the necks of these two people, it's very difficult to tell if they can remove those chains themselves or not. So sometimes these things that control us, we do in turn have control over them. And sometimes we do not. And it's okay to admit when you need help. So the Devil in your past there, you could be really grappling with something. And this doesn't necessarily have to be something like addiction or illness. It can be, your own personal demons of any kind, whatever that represents to you, that you've been struggling with these things for a while. And now things might be kind of coming to a head. And I say that because we have another one of these secret arcana cards coming out, which is the lizards, and it's showing up in the reverse. And then that card is crossed by the death card. So it does look, Leo, like you are in the midst, in the current situation, of a gigantic transformation. Now, this lizard's card in the reverse, that is the 17th card in the secret arcana. And reversed has to do with taking a little, giving a little. So in the upright, take a little. In the reverse, give a little. It might be giving more energy to certain things than to others. It could be something like paying it forward. If you look, the lizards, we can't really tell if they're more concerned with devouring each other or just want to be close together, right? They talk about the lizard brain. The lizard brain is the back part of your brain. It controls all of your motor coordination and things like that. But it doesn't control any of the higher thought. So when you're working with your lizard brain, we're really working on these base impulses. And that really goes back to what we're talking about with the Devil card, where you're letting a lot of those baser things control you. Maybe there are elements that you perceive to be problematic that are not the problem. That you need to give in a little bit to these baser impulses in order to correct, in order to balance, and make sure that you can maintain and not be too caught up in, I can't drink, I can't smoke, I can't talk to boys or girls or non-binary people I'm attracted to. That there are things that it's going to be important for you to be able to give into. And that's part of this big transformation, Leo, that you're undergoing at this time. Down here in the Imam Silai, this card has already been popular this week. And you know that I don't shuffle in between. But we have the Four of Wands, and it's in the upright. So this is the foundation upon which your goal or destiny is going to be built. And it is an excellent foundation. The Four of Wands can be building something, purchasing a home. It can be marriage. It's about creating a foundation. So to have that in a foundational position in your reading is very key and very positive for you, Leo. From your perspective, we have the Empress in the reverse. Now, the Empress is a very, the divine passive. I say the divine passive instead of the divine feminine. She's the divine receptive and not the divine active, the divine aggressor, rather. Associated with the planet Venus, adjunct Taurus and Libra through that. Friday is an excellent day for Venus and the Empress card. We have this card showing up in the reverse in your perceptions of your current situation. So you might be feeling like people are not bringing opportunities to you at this time. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you haven't put yourself in a position where people would want to approach you with opportunities, right? So when we're looking at this, we're looking at it taking for granted that you have been actively pursuing your goals, and not just assuming that people are going to bring things to you. Additionally, you could be feeling a little bit like less attractive, maybe, or not very much like the Empress. You could be feeling, not lovable, or like you're not able to kind of grow your prosperity, because Venus also governs your finances to some extent and their proliferation. But that's your own perceptions about the current situation. So it does look like you have less than positive perceptions about how things are going around you. And I think part of that has to do with really wrestling with your demons for over a long period of time, Leo. And a tendency to possibly self-flagellate on account of that as well. From an outsider's perspective, looking in, we have another one of these lovely secret arcana cards. And the one that we have in that position is Mars. So this card, number 5, upright, war, defeat, indecision, fear, disgrace, or aggression. So people could be having these negative perceptions about you at this time, Leo. And it doesn't necessarily mean, because, like I said, this is a very good foundation for the future. But neither your perceptions of the current situation nor the perceptions of the people around you are aligned with how good everything or how well everything is set up to move forward. That people perceive that you might be indecisive. People might be perceiving about you that you are afraid of something, or that you are in disgrace for some reason. Maybe people have been talking about you in an unfavorable way. But that's not important. What's important to remember is that this is a very strong foundation upon which to build your future. So, whatever your perceptions are, whatever the perceptions of the people around you, and especially the people who maybe you don't get along with, maybe didn't have the best impression of you in the first place. If you had the opportunity to choose who would write your biography, who would you choose? Surround yourself with those people. Find them, Which leads me to the card in your future, which is the Hermit card. Now, the Hermit is Virgo's card in the Major Arcana, and we do have a solitary figure here on this card. A lot of these other figures are together. The Empress is solitary on her card, but the implication with the Empress is that she is paired to the Emperor, who did come out in Aries reading. So maybe some of you Leos are dealing with an Aries. Because that Mars energy is coming out in your reading in that same placement where Aries got the Emperor card, right? But let's go back to this Hermit energy. Probably a lot of you have been alone over the past couple of years. Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for coming. It's good to see you. And probably a lot of you are very comfortable being alone. And it looks like, Leo, there will be some time for the foreseeable future where you are spending more time alone, where you are honing in on the elements of this that you need to address, where you're honing in on your insecurities that you need to address, and where you are removing yourself from the company of people who really don't have your best interest at heart. And I think really that's the key. It's not that you need to self-isolate. It's that you need to be a lot pickier about the company that you keep, such that you might decide to go out and spend time around other people and still maintain this solitude around you as like an aura. It's called having good boundaries. And I was really thinking about this actually as I was walking to my car after work. How difficult it is to maintain a healthy love relationship with somebody and also maintain good boundaries. I think that's one of the hardest parts of establishing in a romantic relationship. And this isn't really a romance reading. This has to do with a lot of things, mostly with the internal self and the relationship to people in general, in a much more general sense. But that your boundaries and your partner's boundaries have to be similarly aligned. And it can be very difficult. I think in my own situations, that's been one of the most difficult things for me to parse out. So that's just a little aside. That's your love reading for this reading, Leo. But find ways to establish good boundaries with other people. So, not necessarily reading the Hermit card as needing to self isolate, but reading the Hermit card as bringing that energy to your relationships with other people. Here in the hopes and fears, we have the Five of Pentacles in the reverse. Now, this is a really interesting card to get in the hopes and fears position in the reverse. Because when it's upright, obviously, we don't want to be coming from a place of lack, and that's something we constantly fear. However, when this card is in the reverse, it's like you're leaving that behind. But it's kind of like a specter, I guess, always in the back of your thoughts. That this from your past, this time when you were in a place of lack, brings you great fear and trepidation in your current situations, and especially where we're seeing you showing up in the reading as the Empress in the reverse, Leo. That you are kind of feeling like you're coming from a place of scarcity, even if that's no longer the case. You're wondering if you'll ever be able to leave that feeling of insecurity behind you. Here in the midheaven, we do have the Strength card. So showing up very strongly in your own reading, Leo, toward the end, here in the midheaven. So this strong foundation that we are laying is for you to come out in your most exalted form and find the strength that you've been looking for, leaving that insecurity behind, leaving those feelings of lack behind once and for all, and just pushing all of that out of your realm of existence. And the final outcome for you, Leo, we have the King of Cups in the reverse. So we have a couple of really interesting reversals in this reading, right? We have that Five of Pentacles in the reverse and the hopes and fears. And now the final outcome, which can be kind of like advice moving forward. We have this King of Cups in the reverse. This is air of water energy. And sometimes when the King of Cups comes out reversed like this, it's somebody who is emotionally manipulative to get what they want. So this is a masculine energy compared to like the Empress, which would also be a receptive energy. This is balanced between active and passive elements with air and water. And it's in opposition to this Mars energy. So where people are striving to dominate you, Leo, your recourse might be well calculated, because we've got that element of air in there. Well calculated emotional manipulation. And that might end up becoming one of your strengths. Now, we're not doing this in order to wreak havoc in other people's lives. We're not doing this to create drama. We're doing this because none of us are perfect, for one. I think, two, this is the giving in. The giving in that you must allow yourself is this element of emotional manipulation for self-preservation purposes. And I'm not usually someone who encourages manipulation in any form. But it also has to do with these boundaries, right? It can be very difficult to enforce boundaries with other people. But you have to be able to do it. And you have to be able to exist in public spaces, right? And so, in order to maintain your good boundaries, we have that King of Cups coming out in the reverse, telling you that sometimes the best way to deal with the situation is a little bit of emotional manipulation on your part. So that is going to conclude the Leo reading for this week. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to move on to the Sagittarius reading now. And then after I've completed the Sagittarius reading, I'm going to go over to the members side of the channel and do a little bit of crystal scrying. If that interests you, you are cordially welcome. But your presence here on the channel is greatly appreciated in whatever form it takes. All right, Sagittarius. So, if you would, go ahead and set your intention for the reading. Just kind of allow any associated thoughts and ideas that go along with that intention. Allow those things to rise up to the forefront of your mind and wait there patiently. Now, if any of these things are causing you internal turmoil or discomfort, or are making you anxious, I invite you to gently breathe through that energy. So as you inhale, draw in divine source energy in whatever form seems the most intuitive to you. Allow it to gently and completely permeate every fiber of your being, every molecule, every cell. And then as you exhale, just allow that source energy to carry any of that negativity, any of that discomfort right out of your body, will be returned to source, and it will be transmuted. Move the camera just a tad. Here. There we go. I like the framing of that much better. Okay. So, Sagittarius. You need to shuffle your cards a little bit more. They feel unfinished. Yeah, that feels right. Okay. Interesting. 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 Very interesting reading so far. All right, so let me write down your timestamp. We do have quite a few reversals in your reading this week, Sagittarius. So, how many reversals? 6 out of the 10 cards coming out reversed. Now, that's not necessarily bad, but what it can indicate in a reading is kind of some confusion, possibly things being a little bit chaotic. For a mutable fire sign, how is that possible? Let's start out here in your past. And here in the past, we have the Two of Wands in the upright. So there was a lot of planning taking place. And that planning process is continuing into the current situation. This is charting a course. You could be looking at a map. You could be taking a trip in the future and planning it right now. Could be planning how you want your life to go. But with the Two of Wands, the map is not the territory. Eventually, you have to get out into the field and give your theories a try. Here in the current situation, we have the Knight of Pentacles in the reverse. And it's crossed by the Page of Wands. So this Knight of Pentacles energy can indicate that more money is going out than is coming in at this particular time, which is not necessarily always bad. Sometimes it takes money to make money, right? Or that you could be waiting for this money to come into you. You could be playing the lottery a lot. That would be kind of Knight of Pentacles in the reverse, in the place of the significator energy. That you're kind of putting that vibe out there. That you want a huge quantity of money to come to you. And this is crossed by the Page of Wands. Now, the Page of Wands, this is a card that's very aligned with your energy, Sagittarius. It's earth of fire energy. So where we have the pages, we're taking that other elemental energy and we're drawing it down and making it concrete on the physical plane. So these creative ideas, you could be manifesting a lot of creative ideas right now. For example, like with the Page of Swords, you're manifesting information. Page of Pentacles, you're manifesting a pathway to abundance. Page of Cups, manifesting an emotional offer. And with the Page of Wands, manifesting that creative spark. Could be your divine inspiration. The Page of Wands can also be somebody who is a little bit immature, but who has a lot of enthusiasm and is very willing to invest themselves energetically into a project. So that could be you at this time also, Sagittarius, or you could have a person around you who's very much like this, which will be helpful to you in manifesting and getting this Knight of Pentacles. It's interesting too because elementally speaking, this Knight of Pentacles is fire of earth. And here with the Page of Wands, we have earth of fire. So you're trying to do a little bit of a switcheroo, like a flip-flop with that energy here. Down here in the Imam Silai, that's going to create the foundation upon which the goal or destiny will be built. We'll be looking at that in the midheaven. And we have down here the Ace of Pentacles. Now this card is in the reverse, just like the Knight of Pentacles. And I can see that at this time, Sagittarius, you're really, really focused on material abundance coming into your life in some form or another. And you've put a lot of planning and a lot of energy into this. Now, putting these two together, you do then get the Three of Wands, where the energies that you've invested into situations come back to you threefold. But I don't see that coming out in the reading here. The energy is definitely there. Let's see what that tipping point is going to be. Let's keep going. You are holding on to your resources. We have the Four of Pentacles here, Sagittarius. So you're holding on to those resources and stretching them for all they're worth while you're waiting for this windfall, for this new financial beginning to come in. An outside person's perspective on your current situation is the King of Swords. So this King of Swords is air of air energy, so very close to elemental air energy. People see that you have the capacity for very finely tuned discernment to navigate morally gray situations with ease. They don't have to be just right and wrong. People see that you have a great capacity for coming up with new and innovative ideas. And that will be helpful to you moving forward. Here in the future, we have the Temperance card coming out in the reverse. So this is your card in the Major Arcana, Sagittarius. And where it's coming out here in the future in the reverse, I feel like you're working up to something that either you're very much in balance now, and in the future you're going to reach a tipping point, or like you're practicing and you're practicing and you're practicing something, and eventually at some point in the future you're going to hit that point of mastery, your 10,000 hours or whatever it is, where you finally become an expert in something. And that is really kind of coming also from this Page of Wands here, that you're starting out as this page when it comes to creativity, but you already have mastery over your own mind. So that's not in question here. People can see this easily about you. But where it comes to maybe a creative endeavor, and it's so much harder to manifest material resources in creative fields than it is in other fields. But that you might be getting closer and closer to that point. Here in your hopes and fears, we have the Five of Wands in the reverse. You might be afraid that there's not going to be other people creatively who are like you. Or maybe you hope that you'll be unique and unto yourself. But you might be afraid that there might not be the potential for collaborators, for people you could bounce ideas off of. A little bit of creative criticism, maybe even. That people won't be criticizing you and you won't get any good quality feedback. You'll just have a bunch of yes men around you who think everything, or who say whatever you do is great, and then maybe don't necessarily feel that way on the inside. And that is in opposition to this Four of Pentacles, where you're holding on very tightly to things. And if what you're holding on to is your ideas, then it's going to be difficult for you to attract those people to you. I don't think that's the case, though, because we do have that King of Swords coming out as other people's perspectives on you. So it's not your ideas that you're holding on to. You might be holding yourself back because you're afraid to invest more in your creative endeavors. So people might not see you seriously as a competitor or as in the running for things if you are not reinvesting your resources into your art, into your craft, whatever it is you're doing. I really do get an artistic vibe from this reading, but that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. All kinds of careers require creativity. You could be a small business owner. You could be an inventor. There's all kinds of things that can be going on here. So now we're going to look at the midheaven. And this is the goal or destiny of this situation for you, Sagittarius. And the card that we have there is one of the secret arcana, and it is the bat. And it's showing up reversed. So that is the 11th card. And in the reverse, it says, think before actions are taken. So we already see that there's been this kind of perpetual planning going on. And in the future, we do have this Temperance card, which has the potential to become upright as we get closer to it. We have the think before you act. You've been doing that. I can see from the reading that you've been doing that. So the potential might be there in the future for you to stop thinking and to act on something very suddenly and impulsively. But because you've already put all of the work into it, the right thing to do is going to be immediately apparent. So don't be afraid to act impulsively, because I do see a little bit of temerity regarding impulsiveness here. And of course, the Temperance card, your card in the Major Arcana, is very much not about acting impulsively. But the balance is also that sometimes you can act impulsively because otherwise it wouldn't be balanced, right? And that is really coming from this place of scarcity, where you're really feeling like you don't have enough in the current situation. Now, I feel like the resources that you have are not necessarily material or financial. And that is why we have this King of Swords showing up here as the way that others perceive you. That probably a lot of what you have to offer to others is air of air. This good decision making, a fountain of ideas, this Page of Wands, manifesting creative ideas, but don't give them away for free. And that's going to be the key, is finding ways to make that work for you. And there might be the one big idea that you get the right offer on, and it turns into your source of abundance. The final outcome for you. Now, this is very interesting because the final outcome card is kind of like the advice overall. And it's in opposition to this King of Swords. And we have the Knight of Swords there. Now, the Knight of Swords is fire of air energy, and it's showing up reversed. This guy is charging quickly into the situation. He is absolutely certain that he knows right from wrong, and he is going to, or they, this person and entity, is going to rush into this situation knowing right from wrong and enforcing that opinion by force. And the correct thing to do is not to do that for you in this situation, Sagittarius. You'll be much better served by perceiving all sides and not forming strong opinions about things. Some people say opinions are like buttholes, and everybody feels like theirs is the best. I think opinions make you a butthole. I think that by enforcing your opinions too forcefully on others, you really muddy what's right and wrong. Because not everything is right for every situation. And that's why we evolve from the Knight of Swords into the King of Swords. And Sagittarius, you've already undergone that particular evolution, or perhaps you never needed to. Maybe you sprung from your source fully formed. But the point being that that Knight of Swords rushing in, it's unbalanced and it's unbalancing. And the key for you, Sagittarius, overall is going to be maintaining this balance. And not just because this is not the Two of Pentacles. This is the Temperance card. This is your energy, Sagittarius. It is balancing the unbalanceable. It is not just 2 points on a scale. It's an entire mobile moving around. It's like your diagram of the solar system from 7th grade, and you had the coat hangers and the styrofoam balls, and you got it all balanced. It's a lot like that. So that is going to conclude the fire sign readings for this week. Thank you for joining me. Your views, likes, shares, and subscriptions are so greatly appreciated. Whether you join me for the stream or watch later, remember I always put the timestamps down in the description after the live stream has concluded. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you again